lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Good evening, Britain. It's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Before we move forward, we have to confront what took place yesterday. The expulsions, the bans, the censorship on conference floor are unacceptable.
The circus is in town. It's only day 2 of your party conference, and Corbyn and Sultana's new party is already tearing itself apart. I'm going to bring you all the madness and...
Palestine! Shut it down for Palestine! Shut it down for Palestine! Killing children is a crime! Killing children is a crime!
Gaza activists, Islamists and sectarians are targeting Christmas festivities to continue their narcissistic attempt to get your attention. When will our police grab a spine and put an end to it? Also...
Well, Stig, lots of people have tried to write me off over the last 16 months, and you're not going to write my obituary today.
We'll see about that, Chancellor. Nigel Farage has reported Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, to the Prime Minister's ethics advisor. That's over alleged breaches of the ministerial code. Will she be sacked? Plus, Sadiq Khan is set to get a gold-plated pension. Should public servants be financially benefiting while the rest of us are suffering? And a Pakistani migrant con man who targeted the elderly has the right to NHS therapy and claims he would suffer PTSD if he was returned home as he fights deportation. Also, the late Queen allegedly had an angry phone call with Prince Harry over Meghan Markle's spending habits. Is it true? We'll be getting to the bottom of it. And on my panel tonight, we've got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Labour councillor Sebastian Selleck, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Your Sunday night is just getting started, but first, let's get your news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you, Alex. 9:02 here in the GB newsroom. Our headlines. The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has again called on Rachel Reeves to resign, accusing her of being overly pessimistic about the economy ahead of the budget. The Chancellor has denied misleading the public in order to raise taxes, despite repeatedly warning about a downgrade to the UK's economic forecast. It's since emerged the Office for Budget Responsibility told her weeks ago that the public finances were in better shape than previously thought. Reform UK says Ms Reeves should be investigated over potential breaches of the ministerial code, but the Chancellor's adamant tax rises were necessary to provide stability.
That budget is consistent with the speech that I made at the beginning of November to cut the cost of living, to cut NHS waiting lists and to cut the debt and the deficit. I said in that speech that everyone would need to contribute, but I kept that contribution as low as possible by asking those with the broadest shoulders.
Just for the record, would you welcome an investigation that could draw a line under this, whether you misled the markets and taxpayers or not?
I don't think that that is necessary. The Office of Budget Responsibility have published their numbers.
Members of the new left-wing movement founded by Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana have voted to make the name Your Party permanent. They had to choose between Your Party, Our Party, Popular Alliance and For the Many. And they also voted against having a single leader in a setback to Mr Corbyn, who said he would previously stand for the position. Instead, a committee of members will take charge, a model favoured by his rival, Ms Sultana, who went on to attack those at the top after boycotting the conference yesterday in protest at the expulsion of several people from the Socialist Workers' Party.
The expulsions, the bans, the censorship on conference floor are unacceptable. It's undemocratic. It's an attack on members and this movement. Those decisions were made at the top, not by you.
3 children are amongst at least 4 people to have been killed in a mass shooting at a family gathering in California. 11 others were injured during the incident at a restaurant in the city of Stockton near San Francisco. Authorities say the victims were 8, 9, 14 and 21 years old. And they've confirmed the suspect remains at large and that the shooting may have been targeted. More than 900 people are now known to have died after heavy monsoon rains across southern Asia. Officials in Indonesia say more than 440 people have died there, with a further 402 missing after landslides and flooding as emergency teams try to reach some of the hardest hit areas of Sumatra. The death toll in Sri Lanka has risen sharply to 334. More than 170 people have been killed in Thailand. It is the worst natural disaster to hit the region in 2 decades since the devastating tsunami in 2004. Israel's Prime Minister has officially asked the country's president to pardon him from long-running corruption allegations. Benjamin Netanyahu's been facing criminal proceedings for the past 5 years on charges of bribery, fraud and breach of trust in connection with 3 separate cases. He denies any wrongdoing and says the trial is hindering his ability to govern. Finally, the former West Ham captain and manager, Billy Bonds, has died at the age of 79. The defender and midfielder holds the club's all-time record for most appearances. He played 799 games for the club between 1967 and 1988. He also captained the side to 2 FA Cup victories and managed the club from 1990 to 1994. West Ham held a period of appreciation to honour Billy Bonds ahead of their 2-0 defeat in the Premier League at home to Liverpool earlier. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with another update at 10 o'clock.
Welcome to the show, everybody. When will we stop caving into sectarians, Islamists and Gaza thugs running our streets? What are the police scared of? These activists are now targeting Christmas markets and shoppers all over Europe. Not content with disrupting our cities over the summer, their endless campaign, despite a peace deal between Israel and Hamas, is designed to ruin your Christmas. Here were the scenes over the last 48 hours.
Shut it down for Palestine! Shut it down for Palestine! Killing children is a crime! Killing children is a crime!
Yep, up, that was peak shopping season in London. Meanwhile, there were 25 arrests in Birmingham yesterday after activists showed up to support the terrorist organisation Palestine Action. And in Belgium, these activists also decided to target Christmas markets. Yeah, it's as if the continent hadn't suffered enough after endless terror attacks on Christmas markets, taking countless lives, by the way, over the last few years alone. And back here in London, though, Palestine activists clogged up the streets once again, shutting down entire roads and screaming at shoppers out to enjoy Christmas shopping atmosphere in London. Honestly, I am sick to death of these narcissists and attention seekers ruining our capital. Their selfish desire to virtue signal has cost this country tens of millions of pounds, with estimates stating it cost police forces north of 50 million quid and 60,000 shifts of wasted police time. I'm not even calculating the cost of damage to private and public property, or the cost to hide our businesses, or the legal fees for the criminal cases for those that have been arrested. Why do the police allow these people to continually divide and fill our streets with anti-Semitism and protests, calls for jihad and intifada, and outward support for a terrorist organisation? Why don't they stop it? And just cast your mind back to last Wednesday, when the people that feed our great nation, our amazing farmers, they decided to use that same right to democratically protest the budget. They planned it for weeks in advance, only for the Met Police to ban it just hours before and then arrest some of the farmers that defied that ban. It is so clearly yet another example of two-tier policing, isn't it? Just like when UKIP were banned from protesting in Whitehall, but masked Muslim men with eyewitnesses claiming some had weapons, by the way, were allowed to run the streets. It is one rule for sectarians, Islamists and Gaza activists, and one rule for the rest of us, isn't it? It's all reminiscent of the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans who were smeared and branded as thugs, despite the revelations now stating that Dutch authorities slapped down West Midlands police for using false evidence. Now, the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is allegedly intervening in this case. Well, it's all a bit too little, too late, Shabana, isn't it? It seems to me the police are scared of these people. Well, let me give the police's management, because it's not all the police officers, by the way, it's mostly the management. I'll give them a message from the British people. Grow a backbone and do your job fairly and equally, or continue to lose the trust and faith of the British public in the ability for you to do your job. All right, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Labour councillor Sebastian Salek, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Good evening, everybody. Adam, I'll start with you. I'll maybe just start with the top of what I was talking about there, which is I'm just sick of it all. It's been going on for years. There's peace deal in the works. It's been now active for at least a month. What do you think?
It's clear two-tier policing as well. We're allowing these protests sometimes to go ahead in front of synagogues. It's provocation, as you said, attention-seeking and virtual signalling. Let's remember, most of the Muslim world, you've got Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Indonesia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, all backing the peace plan, all backing the roadmap ahead. So why are these people still protesting? What is their end game? I'll tell you what the end game is. It's funded by dark money. You've got the professionally produced placards, like we see the socialist workers ones, Stand Up to Racism, and a lot of the trans events. These are the same sort of protesters. Now, look, a lot of these young students want to be edgy. You know, you've got Tarquin and Felicity that want to don their keffirs, right, and be seen so they can put on their Instagrams that they're such nice people. But there's nothing to gain now from protesting Gaza. It's done, and it's getting done, and it has the backing of the Muslim world. So please, let's move on, and let's make our streets a little bit more inviting to our Jewish friends.
Indeed. Sebastian, do you know what really irritates me about all of this is that there is literally satellite images of a massacre happening in parts of Africa, Sudan and other countries. But they're out there protesting a war that's pretty much ended at this point, by all compared to how it was 18 months ago. But they don't seem to have the same vehement desire to go out and protest for countries that are genuinely now going through a genocide.
Yeah, I mean, you tend to see people picking their cause, don't you, and committing to it. I think if we backed every cause, we'd never get off the streets. It's simpler than that, though. I think it's about defending their right to protest, and as long as you're not causing violence, as long as you're not part of Palestine action, as long as you're not intimidating Jewish people, I would support people's right to protest whether I agree with them or not.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine, but the point I was making about this two-tier policing is that farmers were quite right and had planned a protest for weeks in advance, and then just a few hours before, the police banned it.
Was that not specifically about bringing tractors into Parliament Square?
That's right, but that was all part of a planned protest.
Sure.
Why did it was only stopped 4 hours or 5 hours before the protest?
I mean, I don't know why it was stopped at short notice, but you can see why they might have banned tractors, because they're big, they're bulky, they hold up emergency vehicles, as I think we saw the other day. So it's kind of reasonable to be doing that. I don't think they banned the entire protest, which would have been a problem.
Yeah, but those big Palestine marches clog up. I mean, I've been to them. They clog up countless streets. It's the same sort of clogging up of London. And I think the problem we've got, and I'll just push this over to you, Linda, the problem we've got is that regardless of whether you don't want the tractors in town or whatever it is, it was done very, very briefly. It was a very, very fast change, and there was lots of alleged reports that someone very high up had made a decision to stop this protest, this tractor protest from going ahead. And I can sympathise when we don't want to clog up the streets of London for a protest, but it does seem that every time Palestine activists want to get together and protest, they're clogging up the streets, and it's perfectly acceptable.
I want to say something here which I think is quite old-fashioned, really, but I think about it at this time every year. Christmas actually is a religious time of year. I'm a Catholic, a practising Catholic, and it's a Christian time of year. And I think that does deserve a certain degree of respect. Now, I wouldn't really go around targeting a Muslim religious festival and making light of it. I think that they themselves treat their religious festivals with a degree of reverence and humility. So what I don't like to see is our streets clogged up this way in the run-up to the second most important religious festival, certainly in the Christian calendar, after Easter, in this way, because I know we've got to have fun, we've got to have a good time, but I think people should remember that's what's behind Christmas. And when these guys and girls are out there with Palestinian flags protesting, they're not really thinking about that at all, are they? They can't be.
Yeah, no, maybe people will argue that they do think about that. I mean, some of the chants they're saying, while you're shopping, bombs are dropping, so they're quite aware that this is a Christmas shopping
Plus,
period.
it's a big security issue.
Massive.
That number of people in an enclosed space.
Covering their faces. They always cover their faces.
Covering their faces. I've raised this on Friday night, actually. I think face coverings are just a no-no.
Yep.
I'm not talking about the hijab, where you can see your face. I'm talking about the niqab, where it's just one slit. And I think that is a big security risk when you've got police forces that actually use facial recognition cameras, and we've got to be able to identify people. The idea that you might be covering up from head to foot and not identify someone is shocking.
It's funny, you said about respect there. They haven't got any respect, a lot of these students. Let's remember, in the hours and days after innocent Jews were slaughtered on the streets of this country outside a synagogue, these people were seen outside train stations and inside train stations with anti-Jewish placards. We are dealing with a small amount of our youth that have no respect and have no reasoning of the damage and the hurt that they're causing. And that is the worrying thing going forward. They're just far removed from what humanity is about.
Who's actually doing these protests? Who do you think are the...
Well, a lot of them are middle class and posh
That's
white
what I
kids.
think.
And that's why I say, I joke, it's Tarquin and it's Felicity in their keffirs, because it's almost like they're role-playing.
Yeah.
OK? This is a trend. They want to be able to put on their TikToks and their Instagrams that they are part of this movement and they are so trendy.
That's right. Is that not a part of growing up, though? Getting involved with things, even if you look back 10, 20 years later and think, God, what was I doing?
The lack of respect, Sebastian.
No, of course. Look,
it's terrible.
Yeah, and you know, what you were
That's the
saying
thing.
about placards, awful. I didn't see it myself, but, you know, I'll take you at your word. But isn't it part of their upbringing and their education to get involved with things? You know, in my time, it was the student protests. It was going down to Millbank. Didn't get involved, didn't throw any fire extinguishers through any party doors. But it's just part of people's development.
Can I
It's good to see them involved in politics.
Well, I have also been to many of these protests. You can have a look at some of my previous videos of them screaming at me. They're not all young people. I mean, they are actually a hell of a lot of them, especially the ones that go to the Council Action, are pensioners.
Rich socialists.
Yes, very wealthy usually. Well, that's what they were. Maybe they are. But also, you know, people from lots of various backgrounds. In fact, a lot of people come up to me shouting at me, calling me far right before they've even heard me say anything. But there we go.
You do look like a far right.
I do look like a far right. No.
Let's forget your, you know, the ethnicity of your family and all that. You are far right. But
of course I am.
A lot of these are back in Palestine action.
Yeah,
and we've seen over the court cases that the terrible violence on the videos that we've seen, sledgehammers, cache of weapons, and these, I'm going to call them idiots, are blindly saying, no, they're not terrorists. If you go somewhere and you use weapons like that on police officers and on security, you're a terrorist.
And how this all started was when the group actually invaded a military installation.
That's right.
I mean, end of. That's it.
Right, thank you very much, panel. We'll leave it there for tonight. Well, time now for a brand new Great British giveaway. It's your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. It's an incredible 85 grand in tax-free cash, and it could be yours in the new year. Here's all the details.
It's the greatest cash prize of a Great British giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Well, coming up, I'll tell you about the convicted fraudster from Pakistan who says he shouldn't be deported because he's got a human right to NHS treatment. You've heard it here first. But next...
Well, Stig, lots of people have tried to write me off over the last 16 months, and you're not going to write my obituary today.
That's what Rachel Reeves said just 3 days ago. 3 days later, with so many people accusing her of misleading and lying to the public, is it time that we should write her political obituary, actually? This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong tonight on GB News. Let's get to the news that we broke earlier this evening. Nigel Farage has called for Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, to be investigated over potential breaches of the ministerial code. And as the row over whether she lied about the budget rolls on. Earlier today, the Chancellor of the Exchequer denied that she'd lied about the state of the public finances.
Did you lie?
Look, I'm a Labour Chancellor. I want to reduce child poverty. I make no apologies for that. This will be the biggest ever reduction in child poverty in a parliament ever. And I'm proud to be the Chancellor that lifts 500,000 kids out of poverty.
I just asked you, did you lie? And I have to say, the answer I was looking for was no. And
well,
I didn't hear the word no.
But you also asked about welfare in that question.
No, I just asked you, did you lie?
Of course I didn't.
Ah, well, at least Rachel Reeves spoke to Sky News and the BBC as well. She didn't fancy talking to us this morning and just sent one of her junior ministers instead. I wonder why. Maybe she's running a little bit scared of Camilla Tominey. But while she might be able to run away from GB News, she can't hide. She's clinging on to a job by her fingertips. So the question is now, should she lose her job? And we're joined by former Labour advisor Stella Shantikidou and also Reform UK councillor Lee Moffat. Good evening, both of you. Lee, I'll start with you first. Nigel Farage has now submitted basically a letter to the ethics advisor asking for the PM's ethics advisor to investigate whether the House of Commons was misled. Do you think she should be resigning?
Yes, I do, Alex. On the 31st of October, the LBR advised her that she had a £4.2 billion surplus. Despite that, on the 4th of November, she appeared on breakfast television to tell us all that there was a £20 billion plus black hole. She never mentioned the surplus. Instead, she blamed Brexit, she blamed Donald Trump, she blamed Nigel Farage, rather than her own disastrous policies that are currently stifling growth. Then on the 6th of November, she repeated all of these claims in Parliament. Again, she never mentioned the £4.2 billion surplus. She misled her own MPs, she misled the market, she misled the people, and she misled the House, breaching ministerial code. She should either resign or be subjected to an immediate investigation.
Strong words, Lee. Stella, I'll come over to you. It's not just Nigel Farage, of course. It's the Shadow Chancellor, Mel Stride, the Conservative Shadow Chancellor, who said that she should be investigated by the Financial Conduct Authority for misleading. Do you think she should resign, Stella?
No, I don't think she should resign. I did not think that she misled the public. I think that she made a political choice, which she's entitled to do as a chancellor. 4.2 billion is not enough headroom. And the last budget, she had a headroom of 10 billion, and we saw that being wiped out by the OBR predictions. So I do not know there is literally no economist who you can ask, any reputable economist who you can ask, any organization that I know of who would come out and say that 4.2 billion surplus is enough headroom for the Chancellor in her budget. And a lot of people are claiming that it is scrapping the two-child benefit cap. That meant that she had to raise more money to fund that. That is not true, because if you think that 4.2 billion surplus was enough, then that would have been enough to cover the scrapping the two-child benefit cap, which was obviously not the case, because the two-child benefit cap was predicted to be around £3 billion per year.
OK, well, so I think the brief argument in response to that is it's not just about the surplus that wasn't mentioned. It was the fact that prior to that, and including the briefing that took place in November, the Chancellor put a very, very negative outlook on the economic output of the country and the public finances, many are alleging. In that case, maybe Mel Stride's got a point, because markets respond to those things, and we did see gilt yields spiking. We did see the markets moving in the negative direction. Many are saying, of course, that's quite dangerous for a Chancellor to do. If there is good news to be had and we're not told about it, that is kind of misleading, isn't it?
No, actually, because bond markets would have responded really well to Rachel Reeves raising income tax, which she didn't do in the end. She did freeze the threshold, and this is why the bond market is so stable right now. And this is no small feat. And I would love to hear from the Reform Councillor on the panel, and from Reform more generally, how would they calm down the bond market? How would all of their unfunded tax cuts that they keep on U-turning on, how would the bond market react to a Reform Chancellor making these sorts of promises if they think that Rachel Reeves is doing such a terrible job? I would love to see how they would react. But I'm also really scared, because I'm worried that what would happen is that same thing that's happening right now in local authorities across the country, where Reform came in and they said, we're going to cut the waste, we're going to find all of these wasteful programs. And what are they doing? They're going into social care facilities, and they are telling people that they're going to be closing down social care facilities, which are much needed.
Stella, I appreciate you want to get that political point across. I want to stick on this particular topic tonight, but Lee, I'll give you a chance to respond. Go ahead, Lee.
Do you know, Alex, this is why the people of the country have completely lost faith with all of the political class, because of the word soup that you get, trying to deflect, trying to change the subject, trying to move it onto something else. The fact is, the left's defence is that they've misled people because they're trying to tax their way out of debt, while simultaneously killing any economic growth we might have, which is economic suicide. Just a couple of small points. Rachel Reeves has breached her manifesto promises on a number of occasions, one of which she promised to only increase taxation by £8 billion. We're now north of £66 billion. They promised to reduce the welfare budget. Instead, it's going up by £70 billion, billion pounds. These are telephone numbers. And by the end of this Parliament, it'll be £403 billion. We're leaving our children with a legacy of £3 trillion worth of debt, and they're doing absolutely nothing to resolve it.
Well, Stella, this is the point, isn't it, that many British people are very upset about, hence why the Labour Party's tanking in the polls at the moment, is before the general election, Labour promised a clean-up of politics. They promised they were greater than good. Well, it turns out that there's been, scandal after scandal. This budget, I mean, the public's poll after poll shows the public, don't believe the Chancellor when she says she didn't mislead the country on the state of the public finances. Do you think Labour should apologise, at least show some humility when this budget clearly was quite misleading, many would argue, to the nation?
No, I think the Labour Party is investing in the future of this country, which is the children of this country, because it may seem to you may say, oh, why are we giving more benefits to families with a lot of children? Well, actually, the more you invest in kids now, the less you're going to have to pay for them in the long run, whether it is because of poor health, which is going to follow them for the rest of their life. And we know that poverty has a very damaging effect on the health of young children, whether it is because of the opportunities that these kids are going to be able to to be involved with, more generally about these kids being better taken care of. And you talked about growth. The way that the country gets growth is by investing in it. And the reason we are in the situation we are right now is it started with Thatcher's deindustrialization, which the leader of your party, Lee, supported. Nigel Farage is a big Thatcherite. It continued with George Osborne not investing in the growth of this country, in the infrastructure of our nation, when interest rates were at 0%. He didn't invest when we could be borrowing more, and this is why we're finding ourselves at the situation we are right now, when we need to take these difficult decisions.
All right, so it's Thatcher's fault. Okay, got it. I mean, we might as well blame the Battle of Hastings at this point, Stella. We might as well blame Napoleon. I don't know. Right, anyway, listen. Thanks for a hearty debate, both of you. Appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Thank you very much. Later this hour, though, I'll tell you why Sir Sadiq Khan won't be feeling the pinch, because despite Labour's high tax budget, there might be a gold-plated pension in line for people like Sadiq Khan. But next.
We need to reduce the numbers coming here illegally. We need to remove more people who have no right to be here.
Shabana Mahmood is talking tough, but next we're going to talk about one migrant who can't be deported. The convicted fraudster from Pakistan who says we can't chuck him out because of the country, because of his mental health. He needs therapy, apparently. Anyway, look, this is Alex Armstrong Tonight. That's coming up next on GB News.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, and this is your holiday forecast from the Met Office. It's a little bit changeable across Europe over the next week or so. We do have a few showers across the Canary Islands to begin with, but some nice bright sunshine for Spain, maybe just feeling a little bit cooler than normal here. For northern Italy, we do have some heavier showers to begin with, and we do have some nice bright sunnier spells for Greece. Now, it does remain a bit unchangeable over the next few days, but for Tenerife, the temperatures are slowly on the rise.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to turn much wetter and windier as we move into meteorological winter. Some flooding possible in places on Monday and an amber weather warning in place across parts of Wales. It's all thanks to this frontal system pushing in from the southwest, bringing with it a wedge of much milder air, but the isobars close together, so it will also turn quite a lot windier. And that's the case for this evening as well. So we've already got some rain pushing in from the west. Weather warnings coming into place overnight tonight. So a pretty wet and windy picture for most of us by the time we get to tomorrow morning. The rain particularly heavy out towards the west and over the high ground. After a chilly start to the evening, look at these temperatures by the end of the night, 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. So a much, much milder start to the day on Monday compared to on Sunday. But it will be wet and windy, as I say. Some really blustery winds through the morning across the south and the southwest. Gales around the coasts. Outbreaks of rain as well, particularly persistent over the higher ground of Wales and western parts of England. Some heavy bursts here shown by these brighter shades on the map. Across western parts of Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland. Well, here, something a little bit drier perhaps coming in, at least for a time on Monday morning. Perhaps even a few sunny spells, but still wet across the northeast of Scotland. It stays wet and windy for most of us through the day on Monday, particularly across England and Wales. That rain persistent and heavy for some western areas, so some flooding likely by the afternoon, particularly across Wales. Dry and brighter for many parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine here, but the rain might just flip once again back across southern parts of Scotland. And look at these temperatures, 12 to 14 degrees Celsius, so a much milder day to come. For Tuesday, it's a bit more straightforward. Sunshine and blustery showers. The wind strongest up towards the northwest, where there'll be some heavy showers, potentially even some rumbles of thunder. Driest towards the east, with the best of the sunshine here. Through the middle part of the week, it stays quite changeable, a mixture of sunshine and showers, but generally temperatures quite close to average for the time of year.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Let me read some of your says out here. Megan Wills says, last Labour government, ... Sorry, there's no money left. That was the famous note, wasn't it, left to the Tories back in 2010. Paul says, membership of the EU, WTO and now net zero has caused deindustrialisation. True. Well, at least I agree with it. Benjamin Moffat says, imagine if it was a Reform Chancellor that was found to have lied about the state of the country's finances. Labour would be calling for a criminal prosecution, never mind them just resigning. And this is the irony of it all, isn't it? It's the hypocrisy of it. When they were in opposition, they called for everyone on their dog to resign for far less. When it comes to them being held to the same standards, they don't like it. Don't raise the bar to a place you don't want to play in, and then I think you'll find you won't be taken down so badly when it's your turn. But there we go. There's also a brand new way to take part in the conversation, as I was just reading out some notes there from you guys. Become a friend of GB News for free. Take a look at this.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on Your Say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
I just read another funny comment here on Your Say. Nick says, why not blame the Vikings? Yeah, why not? Why not blame the Romans for the state of the economy, eh? Anyway, another day, it's another migrant scandal, isn't it? They're just constantly in the press now. It's just a staple of our society, isn't it? A fraudster from Pakistan who conned elderly people out of their life savings is fighting deportation because, get this, the excuses get more and more insane every time, don't they? He says he has a human right to the NHS talking therapies. At least he should deserve. He thinks he deserves therapy. Omar Iqbal, who arrived from Pakistan on a student visa in 2010, was jailed for 6 years in 2019. Iqbal claims he'd suffer from PTSD if he returned to his home country. I've got my panel back in the room here with me. Adam, Linda and Sebastian here. Adam, I'll start with you. This is part of the thing that enrages the British public, isn't it? Because we think, well, it shows two things, doesn't it? One, we've lost control of the ability to deport people who not only are overstaying their visa at this point, but are also clearly committing crimes which we would find despicable and actually shouldn't be, if it was someone else's country, we'd be booted out instantly. And secondly, it shows a system that is basically fighting against the British public's will to change that.
100%. Look, how many foreign criminals are we just allowing to stay in this country now? We hear about these sort of cases every week, whether it's they can stay in the country because their kid likes chicken nuggets or some ridiculous thing. I just want this on record. I could not give two damns if he got tortured if we deported him. And the majority of British people could not give a damn either, right? If you're going to break the laws here, you get deported. Like if I went to Spain and lived there and I broke the law, they would deport me back here. Nothing racist about it. They would deport me back here. That's just common sense. At the end of the day, our student visas and our work visas have been gamed over the last decade, and you have to blame the Conservatives for that. OK, yes, loopholes are being changed here and there, but we even showed last week on this programme there are loopholes that many asylum seekers are using to get into this country, which are clear loopholes, they're clearly lying, and the government know about it and will not shut that. So it makes you think, why do they want to impose these people on us? And that's what they're doing. It's costing us money, and it's putting people in danger, especially our women and our children.
Next weekend, we're going to bring a follow-up to that story, by the way. Hopefully you guys will be here to talk about that. But Linda, this is it, isn't it? Adam's absolutely right. It's a system that, with more loopholes, there's a leaky bucket, essentially. We know the Home Office is not fit for purpose. I'll at least commend the Home Secretary for calling it out and saying that the Home Office really isn't working anymore. But at a time when we're in crisis here, this is a crisis in my opinion, surely this should then go into special measures and get some proper oversight to fix it, because we hear it's not working, the Home Office, but we don't hear what they're doing to fix it all.
Well, I totally agree with Adam that if someone commits a crime like this, and I gather that many vulnerable elderly people suffered at the hands of this guy, there should be no question he is then deported. There shouldn't be any question of an appeal at all. That shouldn't be happening from the get-go. And also, I'd like to say something about the people who do behave properly. I know someone very, very well who's moved to this country, who is paying a lot of tax, earning good money, stable job, paying a premium to use the NHS properly, doing it all properly, and meanwhile, we're letting someone abuse the system again. That seems to me completely baffling.
Yes, Sebastian, and Adam's right to call out the last government for this, because they did leave this in an absolute state. Is there trust that... do you think people have trust that Shabana Mahmood's going to get on top of it?
I hope so. She's making the right noises, isn't she? And you're right. Look, if somebody comes to this country, commits a serious crime, they should be deported. And I'm pleased, Linda, that you're also drawing attention to the many, many, many immigrants who come here and do play by the rules and do contribute, because I feel like their stories get left aside often when we have these discussions. What's good to see here is that the judge is rejecting the claim. Clearly it's baseless. Now he seems to be, the Telegraph is reporting at least, representing himself, which shows you a lawyer isn't presumably willing to take on the case. And it sounds pretty baseless, doesn't it, to the layman? So it would seem like this guy is on his way out, which is, you know, the right thing to do given the crime he's committed.
I mean, how could anyone abuse this country so badly that has given them safe haven, and then they are then convicted of a horrible crime, appeal and expect to stay here?
Does it say something about the people that come here and do that, though, Adam? Because, as you're right to point out, he's not going to... It looks unlikely he's going to get this claim through, but we see it time and time again, don't we? It's like this almost brashness. No, I don't care what your people think or your country thinks or your judges think about these rules. I'm going to appeal it anyway.
It's greed and entitlement. They come here, it's like throwing a kid in a toy shop, you know, or a sweet shop and letting them run riot. They come here, they cannot believe the opportunities that are here. It overtakes them, they get greedy, or if they're coming from remote places, maybe in the Middle East, South Asia, they see the women, can't help themselves, right? And we are importing en masse these types of people. And it's a ticking time bomb. How many women and girls have to suffer? How many elderly? How many people have to be a victim of violent crime before we actually, or our government actually starts to say, our first duty is to look after the people of this country and protect them?
I think the Labour government is going to be judged on this exact issue at the next, in the local elections and then the next general election. If they get on top of this, they might get rewarded. If they don't, well, I think it's going to be a
say one thing?
Very briefly.
Very, very briefly, because I work with evacuees after the Taliban went down through Afghanistan, just on an English language programme. But I know that those people that went into those hotels were vetted one by our security services to see whether they were a threat or not. Now, the problem is you've got a lot of other immigrants coming into this country, a lot of them on boats. No one's vetting them at all. No one can vet them.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Chucking the documents in the channel and all that stuff.
We don't know.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look, a Home Office spokesperson said this: "We are bearing down on foreign criminals and illegal migrants who exploit our laws by making vexatious human rights claims that grounds flights, as well as introducing the most significant reforms to tackle illegal migration in modern times. We're scaling up removals of people with no right to be here, with nearly 50,000 removed already. This action will make our country and our citizens safer, bringing an end to the abuse of our legal system and securing Britain's borders." All right. Well, coming up at 10 o'clock.
But before we move forward, we have to confront what took place yesterday. The expulsions, the bans, the censorship on conference floor are unacceptable.
Oh, yes, I'll be talking you through the biggest act in town. It's The Circus is back. We're going to go through this great comedy that's hit our TV screens. Your party's first ever conference promised to be good, and it really hasn't let me down, I'll tell you that for sure. But next, I'll tell you why even more taxpayers' money is going to some of the country's richest and most powerful politicians like Sadiq Khan. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, this Christmas we're putting on a really exciting event and we want loads of you to be there. On Saturday the 13th of December, you're invited to join the GB News family for our Carols by Candlelight concert. For your chance to be with us, you can apply for tickets by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to gbnews.com/carols. The concert will be broadcast on Christmas Eve too. Well, moving on, millions of people are still reeling from the budget from hell. But I know one person who's got something to celebrate. Yes, Sir Sadiq Khan is in line for a gold-plated pension under Labour's plans to recognise what they've called his vital public service. At a time when public services are falling apart, more than 16,000 elected councillors will be guaranteed an inflation-busting protected income for life. Well, it's all right for some of us, isn't it? We're joined now by the commentator, Peter Tatchell. Peter, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Now, look, people across this country have just seen another massive increase in their taxes. Councils up and down the country are bankrupt. People are struggling to make ends meet. But once again, our public servants are going to get a gold-plated pension. Is this really fair, Peter?
I'm not so concerned about the very highly paid public officials like Sadiq Khan, but even he is paying nearly £20,000 a year into his own pension. So it's quite right that he should get the appropriate pension on his retirement. But who I'm more concerned about are the 16,000 local councillors up and down the country. They work an average of 22 hours a week. Some of them, about 1 in 8, work more than 35 hours a week serving their local communities. They don't get paid a wage, but they do get an allowance. And it's only about £7,000 a year on average. But in some local authorities, they only get an allowance of £3,000 a year. Now that seems very small reward for, they're in charge of the hundreds of millions of pounds of local budgets to provide council services, from libraries to parks to elderly care homes. I think it's fair they get a decent pension.
Peter, I'll put this to you because most councils, and a lot of councils up and down the country, are going bankrupt. And I'd say that's the fault a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, of the people who run those councils. I don't mind politicians being rewarded when they do a good job, but it seems more often than not, we're constantly rewarding politicians with, every year MPs are getting inflation-busting pay rises. Sadiq Khan earns more than the Prime Minister, and he will be part of this pension scheme. So it's all very good and well to say you're not worried about Sadiq Khan, but he is part of this scheme, as well as those 16,000 other councillors. Being a councillor isn't a full-time job. As you said, it's 22 hours a week. It's not a full-time job. Most people work 40 hours a week, and they won't get a pension, an inflation-busting, gold-plated pension. It just feels very, very unfair when a time when we're being asked, all working people, to contribute more.
I don't think it's an inflation-busting pension. I think it's an inflation-linked pension. So it's linked to the rises in inflation. You're absolutely right. Some councillors do not do a very good job. But those councillors, it's up to the local voters to vote them out. But I want to say that I know quite a few local councillors in different parts of the country, and all the ones I know, they work very, very hard, and they do a full-time job, paid job. They do a job, which gets them employment, but they do their council work on top of that. And it's a big sacrifice for them and their families, but they're doing it for good reasons. And I know I've had help from my local councillors in...
Peter, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave it there. We've run out of time. Thank you very much for coming on. Peter Tatchell, really appreciate you joining me this evening. A spokesperson for Local Government Association said this: councillors work very hard to represent their communities, sacrificing working hours and family time to carry out their role. Fair remuneration, including pension provision, is vital so that people from all walks of life feel able to stand for public office. Reinstating councillors' access to the local government pension scheme is an essential step in recognising their dedication to service to their communities. Look, don't go anywhere. Loads of front pages coming up hot off the press, but next I'm going to take you through the madness that is the Your Party conference. Trust me, it's a circus. That's next. Stay tuned.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to turn much wetter and windier as we move into meteorological winter. Some flooding possible in places on Monday and an amber weather warning in place across parts of Wales. It's all thanks to this frontal system pushing in from the southwest, bringing with it a wedge of much milder air, but the isobars close together, so it will also turn quite a lot windier. And that's the case for this evening as well. So we've already got some rain pushing in from the west. Weather warnings coming into place overnight tonight. So a pretty wet and windy picture for most of us by the time we get to tomorrow morning. The rain particularly heavy out towards the west and over the high ground. After a chilly start to the evening, look at these temperatures by the end of the night, 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. So a much, much milder start to the day on Monday compared to on Sunday. But it will be wet and windy, as I say. Some really blustery winds through the morning across the south and the southwest. Gales around the coasts. Outbreaks of rain as well, particularly persistent over the higher ground of Wales and western parts of England. Some heavy bursts here shown by these brighter shades on the map. Across western parts of Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland. Well, here, something a little bit dry perhaps coming in, at least for a time on Monday morning. Perhaps even a few sunny spells, but still wet across the northeast of Scotland. It stays wet and windy for most of us through the day on Monday, particularly across England and Wales. That rain persistent and heavy for some western areas, so some flooding likely by the afternoon, particularly across Wales. Dry and brighter for many parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine here, but the rain might just flip once again back across southern parts of Scotland. And look at these temperatures, 12 to 14 degrees Celsius, so a much milder day to come. For Tuesday, it's a bit more straightforward. Sunshine and blustery showers. The wind strongest up towards the northwest, where there'll be some heavy showers, potentially even some rumbles of thunder. Driest towards the east, with the best of the sunshine here. Through the middle part of the week, it stays quite changeable, a mixture of sunshine and showers, but generally temperatures quite close to average for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the greatest cash prize of a Great British giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dan.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good evening, Britain. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Before we move forward, we have to confront what took place yesterday. The expulsions, the bans, the censorship on conference floor are unacceptable.
The circus is definitely in town. It's only day 2 of your party conference, and Corbyn and Sultana's new party is already tearing itself apart. By the way, they've got a new name. It's called Your Party. Yes, they voted to keep exactly the same name. I'm going to bring you all the madness next, and...
Palestine! Shut it down for Palestine! Shut it down for Palestine! Killing children is a crime! Killing children is a crime!
A just can't help themselves, can they? Gaza activists, Islamists and sectarians are targeting Christmas festivities to continue their narcissistic attempt to get your attention. When are our police going to grow a spine and put an end to it? Also...
Well, Stig, lots of people have tried to write me off over the last 16 months, and you're not going to write my obituary today.
We'll see about that. Hey, Rachel. Nigel Farage has reported the Chancellor to the Prime Minister's ethics advisor over alleged breaches of the ministerial code. Will she be sacked? Plus, Sadiq Khan is set to get a gold-plated pension. Should public servants be financially benefiting while the rest of us are suffering? Also, a Pakistani migrant con man who targeted the elderly has the right to NHS therapy and claims he would suffer PTSD if he returned home as he fights his deportation. And the late Queen allegedly had an angry phone call with Prince Harry over Meghan Markle's spending habits. We're going to find out if it's true. And on my panel tonight, we've got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Labour councillor Sebastian Salek, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. I've got a cracking hour coming up. Your Sunday evening is just going to get started, but first, let's get your news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Alex. Good evening to you. 2 minutes past 10 here in the GB newsroom. Reform UK is calling for Chancellor Rachel Reeves to be investigated over potential breaches of the ministerial code. Nigel Farage has written to the Prime Minister's ethics advisor, saying her behaviour before and during the budget meets the threshold for an inquiry. The Chancellor's denied accusations of misleading the country with an overly pessimistic view of the UK's finances in order to raise taxes, despite the Office for Budget Responsibility saying it informed the Treasury there was a budget surplus rather than a black hole. But she is adamant tax rises were necessary.
That budget is consistent with the speech that I made at the beginning of November to cut the cost of living, to cut NHS waiting lists and to cut the debt and the deficit. I said in that speech that everyone would need to contribute, but I kept that contribution as low as possible by asking those with the broadest shoulders.
Just for the record, would you welcome an investigation that could draw a line under this, whether you misled the markets and taxpayers or not?
I don't think that that is necessary. The Office of Budget Responsibility have published their numbers.
Members of the new left-wing movement founded by Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana have voted to make the name Your Party permanent at the inaugural annual conference. They also voted against having a single leader, which is a setback to Mr Corbyn, who previously said he would stand for the position. Instead, a committee of members will take charge, the model favoured by his rival, Ms Sultana, who went on to attack those at the top after boycotting the conference yesterday in protest at the expulsion of several people from the Socialist Workers' Party.
The expulsions, the bans, the censorship on conference floor are unacceptable. It's undemocratic. It's an attack on members and this movement. Those decisions were made at the top, not by you.
The US Secretary of State has hailed talks with Ukrainian officials in Florida as very productive, but says more work needs to be done to bring an end to Russia's war. Marco Rubio, US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner met a delegation from Kyiv to discuss Washington's proposed framework, which critics say favours Russia. Further talks between the US and Vladimir Putin are expected in Moscow next week.
Our goal here is to end the war, but it's more than just to end the war. We don't just want to end the war, we also want to help Ukraine be safe forever, so never again will they face another invasion, and equally importantly, we want them to enter an age of true prosperity.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's officially asked the country's president to pardon him from long-running corruption allegations. And Mr Netanyahu's been facing criminal proceedings for the past 5 years on charges of bribery, fraud and breach of trust. It's in connection with 3 separate cases. He denies any wrongdoing and says the trial is hindering his ability to govern. And more than 900 people are now known to have died after heavy monsoon rains across southern Asia. Officials in Indonesia say more than 440 people have died there, with a further 402 missing after landslides and flooding. Emergency teams are still trying to reach some of the hardest hit areas in Sumatra. Meanwhile, the death toll in Sri Lanka has risen sharply to 334, with many more still missing and low-lying areas of the capital, Colombo, underwater. And more than 170 people have been killed in Thailand. It is the worst natural disaster to hit the region in 2 decades since the devastating tsunami in 2004. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with more at 11. Now it's over to Alex.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
The circus is in town and Magic Grandpa and Fruit and Nut are back.
Hi, how you doing? We're back and we're ready for it all over again.
Tell you what, I don't know if I'm ready for it all over again, Jeremy, but shall we just jump straight into it?
Some will say that the decision to adopt the collective leadership model is a win for me. It is not. It is your win. It is you, the members, who have won.
Yeah, well, it kind of is, isn't it, Zara? Because Corbyn's allies briefed time and time again that they only wanted a single leader, him. You know, the bloke that people in this country have actually heard of. Not so much, Sultana, perhaps. It's also alleged that Sultana declared herself co-leader against Corbyn's wishes, with reports suggesting he had never agreed to co-lead anything with Sultana way back when.
But before we move forward, we have to confront what took place yesterday. The expulsions, the bans, the censorship on conference floor are unacceptable. It's undemocratic. It's an attack on members and this movement. And those decisions were made at the top, not by you.
I wonder who's at the top of your party. Might it be Corbyn's allies and team trying to keep out alleged infiltration by the communist group Socialist Unity Platform, who allegedly back Sultana? That was revealed by The Telegraph. Oh, I guess we'll just never know, eh?
These actions come straight out of the Labour Rights Handbook, the same playbook we have all lived through for years. The witch hunts, the smears, the intimidation, the bullying, the legal threats and the leaks to the Murdoch press. Let me be absolutely clear. The members will not stand for this. The movement will not stand for this. And I will not stand for this.
That's all very interesting, isn't it? Sultana mentions threats and the Labour Party. Might she be referring to the legal threats made of the allegation of the donation scandal? Well, Sultana's team set up an independent portal that raised 800 grand in donations and collected member data. That too was met by outrage with Corbyn's team and allies, accusing Sultana of a unilateral coup in a, well, and that's still ongoing, isn't it? Somewhat ongoing amongst the lot of them. And
this country is rigged to serve the rich and powerful who bought and paid for it. And we plan on beating them before they lead us into fascism to protect their own wealth and power.
Well, she thinks we're headed to fascism because of wealthy people. Well, do you know what? I'd argue we're headed to fascism because of the far left and Islamist sectarians who, frankly, seem to run our streets and get away with chanting things like jihad and intifada and from the river to the sea. And on that specific point, should I say, what would this conference be without this?
And stand with the Palestinian people until every inch of their land is free, from the river to the sea, a single democratic state with equal rights for all. And we must ensure there is a day of reckoning for those who have enabled genocide: Keir Starmer, David Lammy, Shabana Mahmood, and all responsible.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear the genocidal call to basically eliminate Israel from the face of the world map, which is my interpretation of that statement, it sends shivers down my spine. I don't know about you at home. It's very reminiscent of 1930s Germany, in my opinion.
That's our money that provided him housing. That's our money that defended him in court. That's our money that put food on his table. Well, not anymore. We shouldn't just abolish Andrew's titles. We should abolish the monarchy itself.
Right, so Keir Starmer and David Lammy go to The Hague, remove the royal family, wipe Israel off the face of the map. I don't know what to say, really. It's all so bonkers and out of touch, isn't it?
For any of us, if you come for the pensioners among us, the disabled among us, the immigrants among us, the queer and trans among us, if you come for any of us, you will have to fight all of us.
Yes, there's an interesting mention of queer and trans there. Many people think queer's a slur, by the way, but obviously she doesn't think so. The reason why I talk about trans, because that is the alleged reason why one of the Your Party MPs has already quit the party, allegedly. Anyway, look. I could go on and on and on. There was so much material, I could have written a Little Britain comedy sketch out of all of this, but the reality is that this party is already doomed. It's lost 2 MPs before its first conference. Its co-founders are fighting on and on and on. There's a background war between Sultana and Corbyn's teams, let alone a sheer lack of a stable and shared ideology. Even Sultana was boycotting the first day of her own conference. This is a circus. This is a total shambles. So I'm asking, do you really think your party is a threat to anyone, or will it simply continue to self-destruct? Let's get the thoughts of my brilliant panel, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, Labour councillor Sebastian Salek, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Adam, I'll start with you. I mean, having to sit through and endure that speech was quite... it's quite painful for me. I had to eat some fruit and nut cake afterwards just to calm myself down. What did you make of it?
Look, people always go on about the threat of the so-called far right in this country. We have headlines on headlines in national newspapers. What about the threat of the far left? This is an extremist party that is made up of a collection of Karl Marx, trans, and open borders, and what else have we got there? Gaza. Groupies, really. It's an abomination of a party. I cannot believe it's actually sanctioned. And to watch them tear each other apart, no one's going to vote for them. Anyone with a brain is never going to vote for these. But they're dangerous. They are an extreme left party. And people need to highlight that, because anyone that thinks the Greens are extreme, which I do, I think they're a clown show. These are the Greens on steroids. Your party is a threat, and it needs to be called out. I mean, this is just a circus, and to watch it, again, I'll say it, anyone that votes for your party needs their head tested.
All right, Linda, over to you.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that you've just said anyone that votes for your party needs their head read. And that's true, and that's why I don't really see them as a threat, because I think they have not formed a vision, they've not crystallised their story, they couldn't even make up their mind on a name for months. They found a name which I think is totally ridiculous, and you cannot rule a political party by committee. So I think they're going to wither on the vine. But I do think that the Green Party is consequential. I mean, if you talk to younger people, and I've got 3 adult children, and you find out what they want to get behind, at the moment, it is the Green Party. So the point is, listen to why they support the Green Party and start learning from it. That might be an idea for political parties going forward, because both, or the big major parties now, not so much the Lib Dems, they've got a really big problem recruiting younger people.
They certainly do. Sebastian, I mean, listen, Adam's got a point. I'm being a little bit jovial about it, because I do think the vast amount of the context of what was said in that speech was just completely and utterly bonkers, well outside of public opinion, wouldn't get a single vote, or at least any sensible person wouldn't vote for them. But there is an audience. There's an audience, 20,000 people at that conference. So what worries me, Sebastian, is when you hear things like essentially statements that I think sound genocidal in their ideology, where we want there to basically be a Palestine from the river to the sea, which I think means getting rid of Israel, which I think is an attack on Jews personally. Do you think there's some danger in this kind of rhetoric?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't repeat that claim. I wouldn't stand by it at all, for the reasons that you outlined. I think that is an affront to the Israeli people. What strikes me here is that it's a very competitive space, the far left, at the moment. There is a real opportunity, but there is also in a Green Party, as you say, Linda, in its ascendancy. And really only one party can win out. You can't have both of those going in and competing against each other. So if your party want to get anywhere, they really have to get their act together. The problem is...
but they're not, are they?
Well, no, they're not. And the problem is they are going for this consensus model, which is great on paper. It sounds really collaborative.
Yeah.
But sometimes with political parties, you just need somebody to make a decision.
Look, they're not running a supermarket. It's not a cooperative. They have to have a leader. They have to have a strategic vision, and they have to have a leader.
Yeah.
And they're showing no signs of understanding that at all. And that's why I say, and I'm no particular fan of Zach Polanski. I'm no particular fan, but he could be consequential, and we need to pay attention to that.
When it comes to Corbyn, what's quite funny is, this was really his idea. Now they voted for this collective leadership, which Sultana claims doesn't benefit her. Well, it does, because actually Corbyn wanted this to be a single-man-led party, which was him, who is the household name. It feels like there's a little bit of sometimes narcissism in these small parties, people attaching themselves and leeching themselves on and constantly getting ahead of press releases so they make sure that they're involved, even if the parties don't want them to be.
Let's remember, there's very few superstar politicians with huge followings in this country. You had Boris, you've got Nigel. I don't like to say it, but Corbyn has got a young following that are obsessed with him. He would get 5% in the polls with whatever he set up, because these are young communists, Marxists, Gaza-obsessed groups that see this as a trendy way forward. So it's all about Corbyn. Whatever she says, Sultana, it doesn't matter. He is the man, Corbyn. But
because he's seen as a conviction politician by youngsters, and that's really important.
Well, it's a trendy thing to support Corbyn, like it is about going on these Palestine marches.
I don't agree with Jeremy Corbyn on anything. However, he has been in Parliament for a very long time, and he has been known for standing up for his values, which I have respect for, even if I don't like what he has to say.
He led a Labour Party that was found guilty of anti-Semitism.
Well, that's very true.
That is going to follow him his whole life.
Very, very brief final word from you, Sebastian.
Yeah, do you know what? I would push back slightly, because I think Zara Sultana does have a big following as well. What would be sensible would be her to be leader, Corbyn to be chairman, him to slowly phase out. He's old, he's going to want to stop at some point, hand the baton over. But it's not going to happen.
No,
that's far too sensible.
Yeah, it is indeed. Well, look, it's fair to say that Zara Sultana and your party have had, well, an interesting couple of days, but the former Labour MP's speech earlier today went down well with her supporters in the room. Check this out.
Just a few months, we have built something no one in Westminster believed was possible, a mass, democratic, working-class movement. The largest socialist party in the UK since the 1940s. Prices go up on your weekly shop. Supermarket bosses are pocketing that and then buying politicians. When your rents soar, landlords use your cash to lobby MPs so their interests are protected. When the seas rise and our towns flood, energy bosses buy another private jet while we all pay the price. The billionaires buy up our newspapers, our social media platforms, our TV channels to gaslighting us into blaming our neighbours for the mess. They want you angry, just not at them. Our message to our friends and our neighbours is, if you want to know why your life is getting harder and why everything keeps getting worse, know that the people who control your food, your home, your energy and your media, they are sending billions of your hard-earned money to the Cayman Islands, and they've got 3 political parties, Labour, the Conservatives and Reform, all sewn up.
All right, well, coming up at 10:30, I'm going to bring you tomorrow's front pages hot off the press. But next, we'll talk about this claim that Queen Elizabeth II had an angry phone call with Prince Harry. Apparently all this alleged report says that Meghan was spending too much money. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Camilla Tominey. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Me and my mum, and look, it looks real, doesn't it?
It isn't. I thought that was real when I first saw it.
Not that you'll be able to see it, but anyway, it's me and mum.
Things like that, AI is amazing, isn't it? Because your mum's no longer with us.
Yes.
You've got a lovely video of you hugging her.
Yeah.
Which is lovely.
Which is not real, but anyway. It's but I liked it. Like the idea, I thought they've done it very well.
Yeah.
It's quite. But good luck to kids learning to tell the difference between all of that.
Well, we are talking about education today. Lots of you getting in touch. Edmund says, my grandson ended up going to hospital with stress over his exams. GCSEs are too much, I think. They've gotten harder and harder. They're not like they were when I was at school. I only got 3 exams done at 16 and then I dropped out afterwards.
What, you get 3 exams at 16?
That's what Edmund got. He says GCSEs are much harder now.
What we got?
Peter says some of us were self-sufficient at 15 years old. We were growing our own food, we were collecting fuel for our fires, and we had paper jobs, not playing with phones and on social media all the time.
That's a very good point. That's absolutely right. You know, people were fighting in the First World War and the Second World War at 15, 16, 17. And, you know, I mean, pressure. I mean, I just think I think we should teach kids to be more resilient.
Yes.
That's the thing. I think that you just can't say they've buckled and we see that as the latest stage. Some of you may agree with me, but I mean, everybody. I mean, how the heck? I could bore you silly, believe me, bore you silly with pressure and things you did for school and you know, what was expected. There was just no tolerance for any leniency in my school at all. But we got through it and I can say happiest days of my life still.
Well, maybe resilience needs to be taught in the national curriculum. Maybe it needs to be taught more
Resilience,
at home.
good idea.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Right, welcome back, everybody. Let's get more on some of the biggest stories this weekend. I'm joined by Charlotte Griffiths, editor-at-large at The Mail on Sunday and very good friend of the show. Charlotte, pleasure to have you on this evening. Listen, I want to ask you, given that you are my most trusted source on anything royal, there's a report that suggests that the Queen had a very angry phone call with Prince Harry over Meghan Markle's spending habits way back when they were both in the royal family. Is there any truth to this story, Charlotte?
I think there probably is. It comes from Robert Jobson, who's a very credible royal author. And he's saying that Harry did something unforgivable. Firstly, he called the Queen at tea time while she was having her tea, which she hates at the best of times. And then after the phone call, she rolled her eyes and said simply, more money, to one of her aides or butlers. In other words, she was saying, oh, it was another phone call asking for money. And what we're hearing really now, you know, in hindsight, is that pretty much as soon as Harry got engaged to Meghan, it just became a constant cash call, getting ready for the wedding, expecting more money once they were married, expecting bigger accommodation. And don't forget, you know, when Meghan and Harry they did their engagement pictures, Meghan was wearing a £470 coat. Now, by my standards, that's quite a lot, but that's not that much compared to royal standards. By the time of their official engagement photo, she was wearing a £56,000 Ralph and Russo ball gown. And it only escalated from there, because then she went on a Pacific tour and spent £118,000 on clothes. And for her Australia tour, she spent £110,000 on clothes. And it just sounds like what we're hearing now is that these cash calls were coming in and in. And ultimately, in the end, the king called it and said, I'm no longer a bank. I'm not the bank of mum and dad, or granny, the queen and dad. And they had to put a lid on it in the end.
Because isn't the point of I see Catherine all the time wearing these very simple, inexpensive clothes, and she still looks $1 million. It's about being one of the people in the royal family. Do you think she just completely miscalculated the lifestyle of royals and the way that we view our royal family when she first walked through the door?
Absolutely. And the door that she first walked through was Nottingham Cottage, a 2-up, 2-down cottage that Harry lived in Kensington Palace. And what Robert Jobson's saying is that it's pretty likely she thought that she'd actually be living in actual Kensington Palace, which is basically a museum now. And she was apparently really shocked when she went round to Catherine's house for tea. Apartment 1A sounds quite humble, but it's actually a huge, vast, luxurious, amazing property in Kensington Palace. And I just think her expectations were completely mismanaged by Harry. And she didn't realise that the key to the royal family, as you say, is, being one of the people, understanding that, at the time, obviously, and we still are, there was a lot of austerity around. It wasn't like the 40s and 50s when the Queen was getting ready for glamorous events and spending a lot of money on clothes. Now it's a totally different era, and it's all about recycling clothes, wearing simple clothes like Zara. Catherine wears a lot of Zara. Meghan famously did wear Zara recently, but she teamed it with a Laura Piano cardigan worth sort of £3,000. And also reusing clothes. So Princess Anne reuses a lot of clothes. She reuses clothes from the 70s, even today. And it's kind of just respecting us, we kind of poor people that look up to the monarchy, that, we can't spend £56,000 on a ball gown, and, we pay for them, essentially. So it's kind of a respect issue, really, with the royal family.
Yeah, indeed. Charlotte, there's another story. We were speaking about this last weekend on the show, weren't we? And of course, this week, a massive show drops on Netflix. It's the final season of Stranger Things, for those of you that might enjoy it at home. And one of the stars of that show is, I think, previously married to Lily. And I don't know if they've completely divorced yet, but tell us the developments on that, Charlotte.
Well, yeah, it's the final season of Stranger Things. David Harbour is, of course, the friendly, lovable copper called Hopper, and he was married to Lily Allen. He still is married, but they're very acrimoniously separated. As anyone who's listened to her album will know, West End Girl, it's kind of a viral sensation, and she details every cough and spit of the breakdown of their marriage. One of the things that doesn't come up in the album, but I heard about and I've reported, is that he fell out with Millie Bobby Brown, who's the child star, and plays sort of her daughter, his daughter, although they're not blood related, but he sort of adopts her. Yet they had to have a sort of intimacy coordinator on set because they had a fallout and she wants to put distance between them. Obviously, there's no romance between them on or off set, but they had some sort of huge fallout, and it was very much covered up by Netflix because they are really invested in this final series. This last series of Stranger Things has to go well. But I sort of slightly scuppered that plan by reporting this a few weeks ago. And actually, they never denied it. Netflix never really denied it, that there's been this big fallout with Millie Bobby Brown. When they did promo for the series and the red carpets, of course, they were all smiles and playing happy families. But then again, we know that they're actors. And actually, I wasn't even that convinced by their acting, to be honest. I think there's definitely a tension between them. And it was obviously in Netflix's interest to cover it up.
Well, this is it, Charlotte. I think Hollywood tends to get away with these things until a bit further down the line, and then it all just sort of brings more attention back to those shows, doesn't it? It ends up being more of a promo in the end of it. Charlotte Griffiths, thank you so much for joining me this Sunday evening, this editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, and a very good friend of the show. Look, next, we're going to go through tomorrow's front pages. It sounds like it's not just voters who aren't happy with Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. Some members of the cabinet are allegedly turning on them too. Trust me, you do not want to miss the stories we're about to bring you. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, and this is your holiday forecast from the Met Office. It's a little bit changeable across Europe over the next week or so. We do have a few showers across the Canary Islands to begin with, but some nice bright sunshine for Spain, maybe just feeling a little bit cooler than normal here. For northern Italy, we do have some heavier showers to begin with, and we do have some nice bright sunnier spells for Greece. Now, it does remain a bit unchangeable over the next few days, but for Tenerife, the temperatures are slowly on the rise.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to turn much wetter and windier as we move into meteorological winter. Some flooding possible in places on Monday and an amber weather warning in place across parts of Wales. It's all thanks to this frontal system pushing in from the southwest, bringing with it a wedge of much milder air, but the isobars close together, so it will also turn quite a lot windier. And that's the case for this evening as well. So we've already got some rain pushing in from the west. Weather warnings coming into place overnight tonight. So a pretty wet and windy picture for most of us by the time we get to tomorrow morning. The rain particularly heavy out towards the west and over the high ground. After a chilly start to the evening, look at these temperatures by the end of the night, 10 or 11 degrees Celsius. So a much milder start to the day on Monday compared to on Sunday. But it will be wet and windy, as I say. Some really blustery winds through the morning across the south and the southwest, gales around the coasts, outbreaks of rain as well, particularly persistent over the higher ground of Wales and western parts of England. Some heavy bursts here shown by these brighter shades on the map. Across western parts of Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland, well here, something a little bit dry perhaps coming in, at least for a time on Monday morning, perhaps even a few sunny spells, but still wet across the northeast of Scotland. It stays wet and windy for most of us through the day on Monday, particularly across England and Wales. That rain persistent and heavy for some western areas, so some flooding likely by the afternoon, particularly across Wales. Dry and brighter for many parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Some sunshine here, but the rain might just flip once again back across southern parts of Scotland. And look at these temperatures, 12 to 14 degrees Celsius, so a much milder day to come. For Tuesday, it's a bit more straightforward. Sunshine and blustery showers. The wind strongest up towards the northwest, where there'll be some heavy showers, potentially even some rumbles of thunder. Driest towards the east, with the best of the sunshine here. Through the middle part of the week, it stays quite changeable, a mixture of sunshine and showers, but generally temperatures quite close to average for the time of year.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. I'm going to bring you tomorrow's front pages. Let's go through them together. The Daily Telegraph. Reeves faces ethics probe over budget lies. The Daily Mail. Farage. Reeves must face sleaze probe over budget lies. The Independent. Starmer's defiant defence of Reeves as she denies lies. The Metro. Reeves. I didn't lie. The Guardian. The Prime Minister says bold plan will take years to deliver as he hits back at critics. And leading on the gbnews.com website tonight. We will bring that to you in just a second because I don't actually have it in front of me. Anyway, that's live TV for you. Right, should we start off? well, there's only one story really for us to start with, isn't there? I mean, I haven't got much else to go on here. Rachel Reeves, this is what, the third day now? Quite strong headlines here that are going to be hitting people's front doors and shops across the country tomorrow. Rachel Reeves potentially facing an ethics inquiry over budget lies, reports The Telegraph.
As you said, this is the third day, once the papers are out tomorrow, of newspapers claiming that she's lied. Now, the British public, tens of millions of people would have read that. The Labour Party know that as well. It's going to affect the polls next week without a shadow of a doubt. No one's got any confidence in her. People that have had taxes put up, you know, my business is a good few hundred quid a week worse off because of this budget. It was a good few hundred quid a week worse off because of her last budget. Don't know where that money's coming from yet, but it's probably less shifts and prices increasing. People are angry with that. And the story that's just broke on X is about her possibly of lying to the Cabinet as well.
Yes.
Let's see how the Cabinet react.
Yeah.
Because if the Cabinet turn on her, Labour have got a serious problem. They're in danger here of imploding, and they will be having crisis meetings, damage limitation. Does she go, Keir stay, or who goes? You know, they're going to play all the chess moves they can, but it's damage limitation for Labour. I fear someone's going to have to go.
Yeah, I'll just repeat that breaking line that we've just heard in. Thanks, Linda, who actually sent it to me and saw it. It's a report in the Times, which we will bring you shortly, that allegedly three, I think it is, anonymous cabinet ministers are very unhappy and feel misled over the state of the budget, particularly around income tax discussions. We'll bring more on that, by the way. We'll bring you more, because that could be the final straw that breaks the back of this government. Linda?
I think she's mortally wounded at this point. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I sometimes use a term when I'm doing any media coaching, saying, you know, that he or she is bleeding out. And I think this is like bleeding out. It's moving so rapidly now that at some point, Keir Starmer will have to make that decision. Do I stand by her, or do I have to cast her adrift to save my own skin? And I think he will come to that conclusion.
Sebastian, the reality is, if what Linda's saying is true and the Prime Minister does sack Rachel Reeves, he's also in the can too, isn't he? As we've seen time and time again, when your Chancellor goes, you are not long after. And also what we've seen over the last couple of days, which he might have shot himself in the foot here, is that he has come out in defence of Rachel Reeves. He's also said he gave her the blessing to say, actually, no, you can raise taxes based on this. What do you make of all of it?
Yeah, very boldly so as well. We've got it on the front of the Independent. Starmer's defiant defence of Reeves as she denies lies. Look, I think she's going to have to probably address an urgent question in Parliament, her or one of her colleagues. This is going to be a conversation that's going to want to be had in the House rather than in the papers and through briefings. And I would hope that she can use that opportunity to clear this up and put it behind her, because it's certainly, you're absolutely right, Adam, it's not doing her any favours, this lingering over her, this speculation in the media.
Do you know what comes to mind as well? Because I've watched all the interviews with her today, and someone made a comment. Lionel Barber, the former editor of the Financial Times, said, you know, we're nitpicking, not nitpicking, I mean, it's obviously very important detail, but you're going into this bit and this state and here's this list and that list. Actually, this is an issue of integrity and honesty, and it's fundamentally important. And I can remember having similar thoughts when Boris Johnson was getting towards the end. There comes a point when people, whether you're right or you're wrong, but people are starting to think about issues of honesty here and truth and trust. And that will be the death knell once people can't trust her.
Which is ironic, given that the Labour Party pretty much sold itself as this bastion of morality and there's this high horse.
You couldn't make up how dishonest and how many lies that this government have made over the last 18 months, is it? It is probably the most dishonest government of my lifetime. He's the most hated Prime Minister of my lifetime. She's the most hated Chancellor of my lifetime. What is there for Labour to do? But one thing we've just got to have a look as well. There's a lot of people saying the markets may have been manipulated from some of her speeches. Now, if they get a financial analyst and someone to really go into this and look at when she spoke, what the markets did, and someone can tie that, you know, to some wrongdoing, there's going to be huge questions to it, and it won't just be her sacking. There could be charges over this as well.
This is what Mel Stride, the Conservative shadow Chancellor, has put out. He wants the Chancellor to be investigated by the Financial Conduct Authority over that. I think listen, Sebastian, I've said this many times today, but I'll say it again. I understand when I'm not a supporter of the government at the time. I'm going to have to endure a budget I don't like. In fact, I endured a budget under Boris Johnson I didn't like very much. I will say that I didn't like my taxes going up. I'm just a small C Conservative on those things. However, it's for me, and I think maybe the rest of the country feels that the statements prior to the budget set out a very different tone of the public finances, of the state of what the budget would be. There was lots of different kites being flown, lots of leaks. It's a matter of integrity. It really is, isn't it? Do you think that if of all of the sort of mudslinging at Boris and others, that the Labour Party should sort of hold itself accountable to its own standards?
It should definitely hold itself accountable to its own standards. The question is, what has really been said? We have to take Reeves at her word. A lot of the stuff we saw coming out from the budget did not come from her directly. Now, look, maybe someone in her team leaked something. That's just how politics works. All parties do that. I'm not necessarily suggesting that they did. But if we look at what she said on the record, there isn't very much leading up to the announcement.
Yeah, but hang on. Today's interviews, when she was really, her feet were really held to the flames, she found it very, very difficult to tell the truth. In one particular television interview, she was asked, did you lie 3 times? In the first television interview I watched, she was asked, did you lie 2 times? And she failed to answer it the first time round.
Help me with this, though. What is her incentive to lie? It always comes out.
Right, I'll tell you.
Go on, tell me what it is.
I can tell you what the incentive to lie.
To make us pay more.
Well, yeah, to save their backside.
That's right.
I mean, that's the problem. This will
How?
be the she'll be facing for the second time in a month an ethics sleaze scandal here. Look, I mean, I just want to draw the attention to the audience watching at home to the Metro front page. Look at the body language. She can't stare and look at Kemi Badenoch in the face, can she? Kemi Badenoch's looking at her like, I've got you.
And I think her actual body language, that's the second interview I watched this morning, her actual body language was worse in the first interview. I think she must have had some kind of advisor with her who said, look, you got to shape up now. And she looked a tad better the second time round. But her body language tells you everything. But if you actually listen to us, if a journalist asks you, did you lie? You say no.
That still doesn't answer the question, though. Why is the second most powerful politician in the country?
I'll tell you why.
Would you take that risk?
I'll tell you why. So
your
they can put up
interpretation.
taxes and give their voter base, which is largely people on benefits in this country, more money. When you give people more money, right, and people rely on you, they vote for you, and that is a fact. If I'm a Labour voter and I'm getting benefits, and I think if I vote anyone else, those benefits are going to go away.
We know
I'm going to
that
carry on
Labour's coalition
voting
is much
Labour.
broader than just people on benefits. As a political piece of analytics, that is really, really
What about,
I'll just say that the left wing of the Labour Party are pushing very, very hard on the Chancellor to become more left wing. We saw Angela Rayner leaking her own budget to the Telegraph just a few months ago. I was reporting it here live on one of these shows.
Never mind the voter, it's the backbench rebels. She's got to start policing people that are on there's a majority that's a mile wide and an inch deep. How do you think she's controlling that?
But still, none of this answers the question. Why would you lie? Why would you take such a gargantuan risk?
Listen, I think we've answered the question quite substantially. One, she could be facing a second ethics investigation in space.
That's a reason not to lie.
That's a reason to try and cover your backside.
No. Why would she have initially lied? Why would she have got herself into this mess?
Because of the constant kite flighting before that, knowing that actually what they want to do to ideologically they needed to raise more taxes in order to spend on the things they've wanted, and therefore you must sell the public a narrative that is the country is in dire straits, therefore we need to tax you more. And that is the reason why I think there's a manufactured lie here. I think that's the conclusion the British public have come to as well. But listen,
just a bit tinfoil hat for me, I'm afraid.
Well, okay, fair enough. We'll see what you think at home. Trust me, this is coming back. There's that breaking line I want to bring you again very shortly. But it's time now for a great British giveaway. It's your chance to win our biggest cash prize to date, an incredible 85 grand. Could be yours in the new year. Here's all the details.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For a chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. And someone else who might need good luck is the Chancellor, because stand by for more on that explosive story I was talking about a few minutes ago. Some Labour ministers allegedly say Rachel Reeves misled them about the budget. Big stuff, isn't it? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News. Stay tuned.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Just went for an insurance check. You know, in our business, you have to have a check before you do any new program, so you don't drop down dead on the program. And it was all very relaxed, as always, chatting with the doctor and all that. And then he phoned me up the next day and said, "Well, it's slightly worrying. Your PSA is a bit high." I said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "Well, it measures the levels of the potential antigens for prostate cancer that you've got." He said, "You'll have to go to a specialist." I went to the specialist and he said, "Yes, you have got very early stages of the indications of prostate cancer." And of course, it felt like my life had collapsed immediately. You know, I was writing the will, I was doing everything. Well, the reality is he was quite cheery about it. He said, "Look, you're likely to die with this. You're not going to die of it, provided that we keep an eye on it all the time, make sure it doesn't flare up." And so ever since then, this, what I thought was going to be this terrible thing 12 years ago, all it means is that every 4 or 6 months, I have to get a check. That's all. But the good news is, and I've been listening to you for the last 20 minutes thinking, oh my God, what a terrible world we're living in. Everything's wrong. I have a great Christmas message for you. Hold on to your seats. If you want to have a check for prostate cancer, you no longer have to have a finger up your bum. Yes! Isn't it the best thing you've heard all day?
Well, that is, but it's funny that we laugh about it, and so we should really, but that is the big obstacle, isn't it? It's the one thing that puts people off.
Yeah, well, it's gone. It's floated away. Those fingers have floated up to the heavens. All you need to do now is have one of those tiny little blood tests, you know, pinprick in your arm, and they go away and check it and make sure you're all right.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, let's return to that bloodbath that is the front pages. Let's go straight to the Sun here. Gucci gang raids on Prem Aces. The Mirror, a lifeline to the world, which is about the paper's Christmas appeal. The Daily Star, Kev's in the People's Night. The paper is campaigning for rugby league legend Kevin Seinfeld to be knighted after he raised millions of pounds for charity. And here it is, The Times. Ministers, Reeves misled us over the whole hole in public finances. Let's stay with that for a second. I'll just bring some more of it to you here because this is quite a big breaking story this evening. It's a massive additional part of this story about the Chancellor misleading the public. Again, breaking tonight, the Times are reporting that Rachel Reeves, ministers are claiming Rachel Reeves misled them over the hole in public finances. It goes on to say here, ministers have accused Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, and Rachel Reeves of misleading the Cabinet by claiming there was a hole in the public finances to justify tax rises. We're going to be digging into that. That is a serious allegation. If it's true, it's a very serious allegation because it means that Cabinet ministers are now briefing and turning against the Prime Minister and the Chancellor. Adam, what do you make of this?
Look, there's going to be senior ministers within the Labour Party worrying that next week or this week they could be fifth in the polls. This whole party is collapsing. Now, someone's going to have to go. For them to speak out like this, I would say that that's probably just give a few more Labour MPs a reason to do so this week as well. Give them a bit of bravery. You know, you're not alone. We're all stick together. Now, if they do that as a collective, she's gone.
It's like when Boris Johnson said, when the herd moves. And that's what happens. You get one or two key ministers, then they start having a little bit of a chat with the others, and then you get momentum.
Well, the rug gets pulled and you're gone.
That's it.
So, Sebastian, do you think it's possibly doors closing on the Chancellor here?
I don't know. I'm terrible at political predictions, if I'm honest. I wouldn't want to call it at this stage. Look, is it great that people are briefing against her? No, but we can take some solace in the fact that they're not going on the record. If you have people on the record coming out, that would be really serious.
But it starts on off the record, doesn't it?
You know what? I mean, listen. At 11 o'clock, I'm going to read more of this story to you, by the way, but I'll just give you a little snippet here, because it is kind of damning. It says, the Chancellor repeatedly highlighted a downgrade in productivity forecast in Cabinet meetings as she made the case for raising taxes in the budget. On one meeting on November 4th was held after Reeves had signalled in a Downing Street press conference that she was preparing to break Labour's manifesto pledge by raising the basic rate of income tax. She told the Cabinet that Britain faced challenges from tariffs, unsustainable borrowing costs, inflation and long-term productivity, she said, had to respond to the world as it is now, not as she might wish it to be. Ministers allegedly are briefing now against the Chancellor and in tow the Prime Minister because, of course, Downing Street have come out very strong, Adam, and backed the Prime Minister's backed Rachel Reeves, hasn't he?
Well, we see that with football clubs when suddenly they back their manager and two days later the manager's gone. Let's not read anything into that. This is PR, damage limitation. They're saying things to try and get some breathing room. But I think, I mean, look, now I've seen that her own ministers are briefing against her. I think she could be gone this week.
Oh, yeah, that's a big claim. What do you think, Linda?
I think maybe. I mean, actually, we're forgetting that people did not expect her to last anyway. That was the prediction months ago. And I thought she might hold on for a bit on Friday night. But Adam's right. Having read this, I think one nudge now and it'll be game over.
Sebastian, do you think she can cling on?
Do you know what? I'm curious about the timing of these briefings because I thought the budget was going to be a lot worse than it was, to be honest. I was really positively surprised. I was really relieved. And I think it bought her a bit of breathing room. So I'd be intrigued to see what's going on here.
Yeah, Adam, Chancellor goes. Who's going to replace her? Quick one.
It worries me. For me, they're all clowns. So I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't want any of them. Yeah. So that's the worst thing.
Could we see Chancellor Angela Rayner? Oh, God.
No, Darren Jones, maybe.
I think you're right. I think it would be him. Anyway, look, this Christmas we're putting on a really exciting event and we want loads of you to be there. Saturday the 13th of December, you're invited to join GB News for our Carols by Candlelight concert. To go, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now or go to gbnews.com/carols. The concert will be broadcast on Christmas Eve. Listen, we're going to be digging into the absolute enormous fallout of this latest allegation. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to read more of that breaking story to you.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to turn much wetter and windier as we move into meteorological winter. Some